Welcome to Inside Design with Kandrak and Cole, hosted by two nationally published Atlanta interior designers, Joann Kandrak and Kelly Cole. These energetic women are also world travelers, charity givers, and bloggers with a wealth of information to share and stories to tell about the interior design world. Okay, now just a warning, this is going to be fun and not too serious. After all, they still do have an interior design business running at full speed.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. This is episode 44, Inside Design with Kandrak and Cole. And today our topic is our advice to Airbnb and VRBO. So this is going to be part one of a series. And so today we're going to talk about how the websites Airbnb and VRBO have completely revolutionized the travel industry and put hotels on notice that they need to step up to their competition. So we find this phenomenon fascinating, not only because we travel a lot, but more importantly because we are consistently appalled by the interiors of the spaces being rented. And since a lot of these spaces are obviously rented online, we'll kind of explain why we're up in arms about it.
I mean, I'm sure most people know this, Kelly, but Airbnb stands for Air, Bed and Breakfast, and VRBO is Vacation Rental by Owner.
Yes. So let's give a little back history. If you're the kind of person that just goes on to Marriott.com or Expedia and you're like, what are they talking about? These are two vacation rental website companies that have kind of just taken over the world. And so Airbnb, I was reading about them, and actually it's a really interesting story. Airbnb was started by these two guys in San Francisco in 2007, and they couldn't afford their rent, and they came up with this idea of renting an air mattress literally in their apartment during a time when there was this huge conference going on in town and all the hotels were booked. And they whipped up a website and they called it Air Bed and Breakfast. And so there was a lot of reiterations of this, and they had lots of different attempts to target guests during events like the Democratic National Convention, and they were trying to pump up their cash flow through bootstrap marketing techniques, and they were constantly putting their ideas in front of angel investors and startup accelerators because they knew they had this great idea. They were just trying to get it off the ground. Well, today in 2018, they are a $25 billion company. So they had a good idea, and they've made it work.
Well, so this is really kind of how it works. So it's an online marketplace which lets people rent out their properties or spare rooms to guests. So Airbnb takes a 3% commission of every booking from the hosts, and between 6% and 12% from the guests. So you can now find a place to stay in over 192 countries worldwide. That's
amazing.
Amazing.
So now VRBO is actually started before Airbnb, and they started in 2004 in Austin, Texas. And they're basically the same thing, although they're a little different in that they don't do the home sharing and the room rental thing. And they don't rely as heavily on reviews like Airbnb does. But
I wonder why that is. Like people, I mean, that would be something that I would think that people would want to know.
Yeah, I mean, there's still lots of reviews, but I think they come across as a little bit more maybe established from the get-go. But they have over 2 million rentals now in 190 countries, so they're both,
maybe it's kind of like if you're ordering something from Target and Nordstrom, like you might look at the reviews at Target more so than you would Nordstrom just because of maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So, but this all started, for me at least, about 4 years ago. My youngest daughter was going to the University of Mississippi, and so we knew that's 5 hours from Atlanta, and so we knew we'd be going down to Oxford for tailgates and the Grove and football and sorority events and stuff, and so the hotels are scarce there. There's not that many, and of course during game day they cost a fortune, between $300 and $450 a night. So I looked onto VRBO and I found this condo that we ended up using for the next 4 years. And we probably used it about a dozen times. We split it with friends so that the cost was better. But it was just great because like after a game when we were tired, we weren't going back to a hotel room. We were going back to a house, and we would cook spaghetti dinners for the kids and we would just hang out. We would just drink beer. And there was this the house was loaded with every amenity that we could ever want.
Yeah, it's great for large stuff. Well, the very first time I had experience with VRBO is when we were going to my daughter's graduation in Charleston. And so you would think Charleston's a very touristy area. There's so much new building going on, and there's so many cool places. But I remember when I first started looking. It's very easy. You can filter by how many guests, how many beds you want, all that kind of stuff. And so I had a lot of properties come up, but immediately when I saw the pictures, I would say 8 out of 10, there would just be no way, just based on the way it looked. The rooms were kind of dark. You could tell that the sofa was really lumpy. And they just were not appealing to look at, skimpy little valances, just very, very dated, I guess. And so I guess, as long as it's comfortable and it's a good location, that's nice. But I myself, and I think most people, prefer to stay somewhere that's aesthetically, pretty.
Yeah.
So we ended up finding a great place. It wasn't, it was probably very middle of the road, and it was a young couple that owned it, that they specifically just invested in this. And, they were extremely helpful. They left you all the menus, and they were just, it was great for that reason. And so it was just quite an experience in the search.
Yeah, there's quite a variety. I mean, I have used it. We started on my side of the family now at Christmas time. My parents downsized, and so our whole big family doesn't quite fit as well into their house as the communal place for Christmas in New York anymore. So we've decided every year we find a new place to go. And so we started this 3 years ago. And 1 year we were in Annapolis. 1 year we were in Rosemary Beach, Florida. And this past year we were in West Palm Beach, Florida. And so we used Airbnb in these instances. I have better luck on Airbnb for bigger houses. I don't know why, but it's turned out to be great because it's a place where all 13 of us can come together in a house that has, 24 rooms or something absolutely crazy. And we're cooking a lot of our own meals because it's expensive to travel as a family and with all that we're doing. And we all want to be together. We don't want to be down the hall from each other in hotel rooms. And so the communal cooking and the communal hanging out thing is a really big deal. I used it again, and I just recently went to Rome. And this is another thing. We're talking all around the world. So my sister had been to Rome, and she found this place right in the center of Rome over the Campo de Fiori flower market. And I ended up staying there too with my family. And it was so great. The guy, he helped me so much while we were there, because I didn't speak Italian. So he would call a taxi for me. He would make dinner reservations for me. He was just lovely.
Yeah.
And it was so nice.
It makes it more than just a place to stay.
Yes.
It's like having a little tour guide. Like I said, when they leave you the menus, or they, you can read the guest books. I think are really great.
Yeah.
The guest books, Mr. and Mrs. Smith from California stayed there, and we went to this restaurant, and it was really great. Or, this place, don't go after 7 because it's really crowded. So not only are you getting a place to stay and all that, but you're getting, it's almost like a little bit of a concierge service, depending on how well the owner does in helping you with that kind of stuff.
Yeah. When my other daughter Emory just moved to Chicago, and when she first went, she went for an internship, and she was only going to be there for 6 weeks. So we were like, where is she going to stay? I mean, if you think about a hotel room at $200 a night for times 45 days, how much that would cost, or trying to find a corporate apartment or a short-term stay, it wasn't possible. So she ended up renting a room, and this is the one thing that Airbnb does that VRBO doesn't do, but she ended up renting a room in this couple's apartment. It was in a totally cool part of Chicago. They were a young couple. They were always working and on the go, so they didn't care. They had this extra room, and she just moved in with the 2 cats and became part of their family. It was great. She didn't care.
Super Bowl's going to be here in a couple weeks. I bet there's a ton of people renting out rooms for that. Yeah. I'm sure the hotels are full. What a great, if somebody wants to make a little bit of extra money. Yeah. And, I'm sure you have to be vetted and all that kind of stuff and make sure, you don't want to be the psycho letting people, or if you are the psycho letting people in, then the people coming in need to make sure that you're not a psycho, that you went through all the things. But for just instances like that, it's kind of a great service.
So there's lots of things that we love before we start slamming how they market themselves. There's lots of things that we love about Airbnb, VRBO, and these vacation rental places. The first I would mention is price.
Yeah.
Because it's just, you can pick and choose exactly what you want. One room, an entire house.
Well, yeah, what's nice is...
on the coast, in the city.
Yeah, and a lot of the places, we'll sleep 10, 12 people. Mm-hmm. When we went to Charleston again for the Cooper River Bridge Run, we stayed on the beach, on Folly Beach, and there was 6 couples, and it was so fun.
Yeah.
So, and we all were able to split it, so it made it so much more affordable for everybody.
The house that we just rented in West Palm Beach for this Christmas they called it a hacienda. It was a really odd establishment. It was a single-family home, but they had amenities out the wazoo. They had a soccer field. They had a tennis court. They had out in the field. They had this kind of like pagoda with extra grills and picnic tables, and it was all lit at night. And I mean, it was just great for big events,
family reunions and stuff.
Yeah,
so cool.
Yeah. So the other thing I like is when you're going to an area, kind of like when we were in Rome and we were nestled, over this incredible little farmers market. There are places where a hotel just can't be, So you
just can't walk out the door and be right on the streets.
Exactly.
Like that.
Exactly. I mean, our windows of our little Airbnb in Rome opened up over top of the market. That's not a hotel experience that you can get.
Yeah.
So
what I love for it is if you're with a group of people and let's just say you're done eating dinner and everybody's kind of tired. So other than other people going off to their separate hotel rooms, you all can watch a movie, you can play games.
Yep.
It's like you're all together. So as far as, how it worked for Emory for, business reasons or whatever, but for vacations, I think it makes a super memorable vacation for a family for sure.
Absolutely. But then again, being that Airbnb and VRBO are in 190 countries and they've got over 2 million rentals. You can imagine you still have to do your homework. You can imagine the scope of quality that's out there. And your expectations and standards might not be my expectations and standards. But, when you go online, and really, to me, you have 2 things to decide on or guiding your decision. The reviews and the pictures.
And the price.
And the price, of course. But the pictures tell the story.
Yeah. The location.
Yeah. So it just boggles my mind over and over again to look at these photographs of these places that are dark and dismal, and the photographs are tiny.
These people, they're probably not of the design mind.
Right.
They're not of the photography mind. They're not of the marketing mind generally. I mean, there are definitely some professional vacation rental people, and they get it and they know. But the average person, I think, doesn't really realize that, when you're doing these comparisons, like the photo on the left, if it's dark and dingy, and the photo on the right is not, like you naturally will gravitate towards something that is more appealing to your eye.
Yeah.
So, and then, like I said, in the furnishings, once again, you realize you have a lot of people in there, and things need to be really sturdy, like that house we did in Hilton Head. Like, you have to make things super, super durable because people kind of trash it. So the furnishings, not only need to be durable, but they need to look decent.
Mm-hmm. The first thing that I notice when I am looking at, I've decided, okay, we're going to go on vacation. Let's think of someplace cool. Okay, let's go to San Diego, and you start looking. The very first thing that's drawing my attention when I look at these photographs on Airbnb, VRBO, any of these websites, is the light, the paint colors, and the lighting. I think that's the number one thing. I want clean. Everybody wants clean.
Yeah.
And clean is reflected off lighter colors and good paint and good lighting.
And no clutter.
And no
Very
clutter.
simple.
The condo that we rented in Oxford was this woman from California had actually got it for her son who was going to Ole Miss. And then he had a little too much fun in the condo, kind of partying on his own. So she was like, you know what? I don't think this was a good idea for me to get for you, but I'm going to keep it as an investment and I'm going to rent it out. And so it didn't have anything personal in it. It was very hotel-y. You know, the beds were all white and fluffy and yummy, and the artwork was really funky, cool, and interesting. And everywhere you turned, like, you know, there was something that you could use. You know, I opened up the drawer in the kitchen and there was tape and paper clips and Post-it notes, and she had put it together really well. But anyway, so that lack of clutter and personal kind of things. But the other thing that I'm also looking for when I look at these pictures is I don't want to stay in a place where all the furniture from the basement or the leftover garage sale furniture got dumped into the rental, and we don't care about it, and so now we're going to rent it. You know, it's just like, ugh. I don't know. I'd rather keep the furniture simple, buy it new, buy it sturdy, buy it durable, and buy it for a rental.
Quite honestly, of course, location is always really great. But if you've got, let's say, three places that are the price is what you want. Oh, let's not talk about price yet. The look is what you want. The location is where you want. The reviews are really good. But if you're looking at those three and you're comparing them, if there's one that is designed really, really well, I think people will pay more for it.
Oh, God. Yes.
I will.
Yeah.
And nothing exorbitant. But if it's a few bucks different, it's a no-brainer. Like, I'm going with the place. It sends a message that we care enough to make this place be the best we can make it.
Yep.
It does something kind of with your psyche that it just, I don't know, it just looks like it's an investment for them, and that they're doing everything they can to make it so it's very rentable.
A great example of this, if you want kind of a visual for what we're talking about, go online and Google mermaid cottages in Tybee Island. And you will see these cluster of little cottages that are for sale in Tybee Island, Georgia.
You mean for rent?
For rent, excuse me. And a good majority of them were designed by a designer named Jane Cossack. And it's not that she dumped a ton of money into these rentals, but what she did was so electric. Like the floors are old hardwoods are painted turquoise, and the kitchen cabinets are pink. And it sounds tacky, but it's so fun and so beachy and so cool.
Like an experience. Like,
it's an experience.
Yeah, and I think that's what people really crave is the experience, and that's something that's just so unique that you don't just walk in and it has the brown leather sofa, like all the furniture's brown. It's just fun, and you walk in there and it's like, wow, like this is fun.
Yeah, it's an experience. So, you know, we've rented so much at this point. We were just talking about, like, you know, what is it that you that really makes a good rental? Because we've got a lot of listeners that are flippers, that have second homes that they rent out. And some of this seems really obvious, but maybe if you're just starting out, it's not so obvious. But I think one thing I would say in terms of what renters want when they're looking for these online vacation rental places is direct communication with the owner or the management company. For example, when we were in this West Palm Beach house, I have to give props to the owner and the management company. I would text them literally or email them at any time through the Airbnb website, and they would respond literally within 30 minutes. I even emailed them on Christmas Day thinking, oh, they'll just get back to me tomorrow. And they emailed me on Christmas Day. I had a quick question. I just wanted to make sure that the propane tank out on the grill was going to be full because we were going to be grilling a lot when we came. But you know, we were all coming from all different parts of the country for this family reunion, and I needed a lot of help. So I was asking about fishing charters and where can we paint pottery and what's your favorite, you know, beachside restaurant that has a good menu for kids and all ages. And they helped me so much, and it was so easy. So it really took a lot of the stress off of being there.
Wanting direct communication is very, very important. You feel like someone is paying attention to you.
Absolutely, because you're in a new place and you just you don't want those hiccups and that stress.
And then a lot of times we talked about cooking a lot, so have a pretty stocked kitchen. Like, don't just have one spoon. Have if people are going to really be there to cook, make sure that there are enough things, the right size pans, and things that will make it nice for people to cook and not feel like they have to, and make sure the stuff's clean and nice. Necessities for a couple days, like toilet paper, paper towels, trash bags, dishwashing liquid, just things like that. So when you first get there, you don't have to run right out and get these things. And then towels, blankets, a comfy bed. That is huge.
I will say, in the condo that we stayed in Oxford, they had it down pat. The house was so stocked, especially the kitchen, that when we flew in on the first day, we didn't have to stress out because there was at least, there was enough Keurigs and tea. She had water. There was Tide and fabric softener. There was enough to get us to the point, at least a day or two till I could get to the store. Yeah. And it was just so well thought out.
And these are the things that if you do that little bit of extra something, those are the things people are going to talk about in the reviews. You need to you need to kind of set yourself apart. Make it something that is so wow, I can't believe they did that, because people remember that stuff. It might be just something very little, but those little things are what will make people say, I really need to give these people a nice review. Like
umbrellas in the closets, ironing boards and irons. I mean, when I went to that Oxford condo, Kimberly Harold was the owner. And if you want to know, if you have any kids or you're going to the Grove to party, direct message me and I'll give you this condo information, because I just love this woman. She was the best. But you could tell that she listened to her clients and then gave them what they needed. Laundry baskets in the closets, just little things where I was just so comfortable there.
Yeah, just very thoughtful decisions that don't have to cost a ton of money.
No.
Just make it so that people will love it.
Yeah. The other thing, real quick, when we were at the West Palm Beach house, the amenities, like I was telling you about, the whole spread, but they had every closet we opened up, there was bikes, there was balls, there was cards, there was pool toys. They really had it thought out. It was I felt very well taken care of. So
let's talk about our future in this industry.
Yes, let's.
For years, we have threatened to crash the medical services industry and start the design revolution against the doctor's offices, because they all look the same.
Horrible.
However, given our love of travel and our high standards in the hospitality arena, we feel like our advice is really better suited for the vacation rental industry, and really feel like we can maybe push people a little bit and help them to get
what could be better than an interior designer who's a love of travel and a hotel snob, all wrapped up into one, here to help those people who are hosts and flippers to market their places and make them better.
Yeah.
Right? That's us.
Yes. So here's part one. This is a little series we're doing. So part one is going to be valuable advice for hosts out there. And so there are a few things we feel, and if you've listened to us for any amount of time, you realize that we really think paint, lighting, and what's our other big...
Well, I mean, overall quality, but I would say from a marketing standpoint, if you want to tackle anything first, it's
paint and lighting are really our top two.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to give you a little tip here. So for all the hosts out there, and painting is probably the cheapest thing you can do to make a change and update, we're going to give you our top 10 favorite paint colors that are bright and fresh.
So a bunch of these, now don't roll your eyes when we start saying gray, because some of these come across as a little beige, a little tan, but they're clean, crisp. They go with a multitude of backdrops, whether it be a coastal atmosphere or a city atmosphere or a
out west
farmhouse or west atmosphere. So,
and once again, like she said, don't let the gray scare you, because the person who names the colors, who we now know,
Yes.
People tend to hear the word and they associate it with something. So if you hear the word gray in 5 or 6 of these, trust me, they're not all the exact gray that you might be thinking of.
Yeah. So when you're going out to paint, now these are Sherwin-Williams, pull these out and see how they do in your space. Now, every paint color needs to be looked at in the space because light changes everything. But here are a few of our top faves. Ready? Okay, let's start with Sherwin-Williams 7043 Worldly Gray. Worldly Gray has a little bit of a tan in it. So it's just a great neutral everywhere color. Mindful Gray, 7016, and Repose Gray, which is 7015. They're together on the wheel, and they're just a nice, they don't play tricks, a nice, soft gray, not too cold, not too steely. Agreeable Gray, 7029, is kind of like Worldly Gray, a little bit of tanny in it. And easy to go with lots of different things.
Okay. Then Drift of Mist, which is SW9166. 6212 is called Quietude, a little bit of a blue color. 6204 is Sea Salt.
Oh, I love that sea salt.
And one of our all-time favorites, 7566, which is West Highland White. And 7005 Pure White.
Yeah, so trying to get those whites that aren't electric, hurt your eyeballs, fluorescent white, but has a tiny bit of cream in it, but is still that fresh. But I love that kind of warmy gray tan mixed with that sea salt. It's a great combo for no matter where you are in the country.
All right, our producer is knocking on our little door saying, you girls, your time's almost up. But we can't.
It's so fun. There's so much to talk about.
I know. Well, that's why we're
gonna
part
keep,
2.
Yeah, we're going to keep going.
We cannot miss the inspirational and funny quotes because they are really, really good. Kelly, I got to give you props on these.
Okay,
she
thanks.
picked them. Okay, go ahead.
All right. So, well, you love the funny quote so much. I'll do the inspirational one today.
Okay.
All right. You have to risk a little crazy in order to escape the gravitational pull of the ordinary.
Yep.
Isn't that good?
That's a really good
one.
And
you could probably hear it in my voice. I've had the flu for the last 2 weeks and I feel like utter crud. And so that gravitational pull to be so blah vanilla is like knocking at my door. But every day I have to like stand up and be like, no, today we're going to be a little crazy.
Okay. So anybody that knows me knows that generally this time of year I'm in my pajamas by 6:30 or 7. So this funny quote, this spoke to me in such a way. Okay, so it says, people who say go big or go home seriously underestimate my willingness to go home. Like, it's literally my only goal. Like, I literally wake up in the morning and I can't wait, to get home.
No, it's the most exciting thing in the whole world to get back in pajamas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It just is.
It's the greatest. Well, thanks, everybody, for listening. And I hope you like this new series that we've got because I think it's really great. And I think a lot of it will just apply to people, even if you're not, doing a vacation rental.
We're going to keep up this conversation because we want to help the travel industry and help these hosts to market their rentals to be up with our standards. Yep. Yeah.
All right. Have a good one.
Thanks, everybody.
Join Joann and Kelly weekly for a lively conversation about trends, travels to industry events, current design projects, the good, the bad, and the ugly, do's and don'ts, product recommendations, and more. Be sure to follow the fun on Facebook. They're on Instagram @Kandrak-Cole, and of course, you've got to visit them online at kandrak-cole.com for more information.